Today we're going to work on the hips and the lower back. So a couple things before we get started. Number one, it's important to understand that pain is referred. So if you are currently experiencing pain in your lower back, we do need to address the lower back on one hand and get that mobile and strong. But on the other hand, your lower back issues are likely coming from somewhere else. Most of the time, from what I've seen, the issues are coming from some loss of functionality in the hips. And while there are a ton of hip stretches out there and lower back exercises, especially if your lower back is really hot, meaning it's in a lot of pain or it's just super sensitive and gets easily tweaked, then we need to be willing to chunk down these exercises into the simplest forms possible, the most boiled down forms. And the reason for that is a big reason why your lower back is so tweaky is just because there's not a lot of capacity there. And when we're doing things like, the ATG split squats and things that require a little bit more complexity, sometimes that's just too many plates for your body to spin and can cause further issues. So if you've ever been in a situation where you're doing exercises like that and your lower back is worse, that might be why. And this is a great place to start. So all we're going to do today is just 3 exercises. This is a follow along format of a video. So I'm going to take you through the first round with cues and everything. And then what you can do is rewind the video to the timestamp that I put at the end of the round and repeat this for the number of rounds that you can do, okay? So the other thing I'm gonna say before we get started is the pain scale and how we wanna manage pain, because let's be honest, especially again, if your lower back is tight or you do have issues in your hips, you might experience some kind of discomfort. I want you to know that's normal, but I wanna give you some boundaries here because we don't wanna make this worse. And so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being excruciating pain, like you're about to pass out, we want to keep this at or below a 4. What a 4 is you're feeling some slight discomfort, but there's no pain. There's no catchy, stop you in your tracks kind of pain, both during the session and after, okay? If that happens, then you just need to back off on the range of motion, back off on the intensity of the contraction, and make sure you're breathing this whole time. So we have 2 exercises for the hips and 1 for the spine. Let's go ahead and get started. So all you're gonna need for this circuit is the floor and either a yoga block or a foam roller, something that you can squeeze between your legs for the third exercise. Okay, so for the first exercise, we're actually gonna be on the belly. We're gonna get these hips to rotate internally, internal rotation. So you're gonna lay on your belly, and you're going to bring one knee up. Now, the higher your knee goes, the harder this stretch gets. So especially again, if your hips are really tight or your lower back is really hot, you're going to want to start with your knees somewhere below your hip. The main muscle we're trying to work in this exercise is your glute, right where the back pocket of your jeans sits, okay? This is called the prone hip internal rotation exercise. So from here, we're going to push the hips into the floor, okay? Think about kind of squeezing the butt, squeeze your abs, and then from there, we're gonna lift the heel up. In this position is where you wanna feel the back pocket of your jeans in that glute area. You hold it for 2 to 5 seconds, go down nice and slow. As soon as the foot touches, you come right back up. We're gonna do 10 of these on each side. So this is 2. Now I'm gonna talk while we're doing these, you just follow along. 3. So one thing you wanna watch out for, and why I give you the cues of pushing your hips in the ground and squeezing your abs, is you don't want your lower back to move, okay? You want to keep this localized, those didn't count as reps. You want to keep this localized to that glute muscle. So really make sure you're keeping the abs tight and you're pushing your hips into the ground as you raise the foot up. That's 6, we got 4 more. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, we're gonna do the other side. I'm gonna flip over just so you can see, you can follow along. All right, make sure we're in the camera here. So same thing, bring your knee up. Now one note, as we're doing these one leg at a time exercises, you may find one side is tighter than the other, and that's okay. Do what this side can do. So again, tuck the hips into the floor, squeeze the abs, and lift. And as you lift, you want to feel that butt cheek turn on. Okay, hold it for a couple seconds, and then come right back down, come right back up. 2, again, we're going to do 10. You know, like for whatever reason, this side is a little tighter. It's usually my left side that's tighter. 4, again, you're keeping the hips tucked and the abs tight the whole time because you don't want your pelvis or your lower back to move. 5, 6, so prior to every rep, I'm doing those 2 things. Tucking the tail, squeezing the abs. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whew. Okay, so we did internal rotation. Now we're going to do external rotation. So we're going to be what's called the 90-90 position. If you're new to it, all that means is you're going to put one leg out in front of you, roughly at 90 degrees. The other leg just sits back here. Okay, we're mainly focusing on this front leg. We're going to lean on to your forearm. And actually, you can bring this foot up, honestly, whatever's comfortable with your back leg. And what we're going to do here, the main muscle we're trying to work is the groin area, this inner thigh area. We're going to push the knee into the floor and lift the ankle up. Okay, feeling for that groin stretch or the groin contraction. Down nice and slow. And again, as soon as the foot touches, come right back up. Sometimes if you're having a hard time feeling your groin, leaning towards your leg can help you feel a little more. 3, 4, you want to imagine there's like a weight or someone pushing down on your foot and you're trying to push into that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, last one, and 10. Good. Okay, go ahead and switch sides. So same thing, put your leg roughly at 90 degrees. Other foot can be flat like this. Lay on your forearm. If this is too easy for you, how you can make it harder is you prop yourself up. But again, if your back is tight, you're not going to want to do that. So push the knee into the ground, lift the foot up, feel for that groin muscle here. You can also push down on your foot to help you feel that as well. Okay, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. One note before we move on those 2 exercises, more time under tension is usually better. What I mean by that is we're really trying to recruit these muscles and strengthen them. And so if you hold them, like I said, for 2 to 5 seconds, the longer you hold them, the more you'll be able to feel those muscles and you'll work them. A lot of times I've been known to hold the 10th rep, the last rep, for 10 seconds. So just something to watch out for there. Okay, so go ahead and grab your yoga block or your foam roller, whatever you have. This is called the segmented glute bridge. So now we are both moving the hips into extension and we're also segmenting the lower back. So this is a great way to loosen up a really tight lower back. So I want to sit on my mic pack here. All right, so you're going to squeeze the yoga block together. You basically just want your feet at a comfortable hip width apart, or your knees, okay? So you can mess around with the width of the yoga block. I'm going to show you from the side here, though. All right, so this is not a regular glute bridge where we're just coming up and back down. You want to think about peeling your spine one vertebrae at a time off the floor and then putting it back on the floor one vertebrae at a time. So you're going to be using a lot of abs, okay? And you're going to be feeling just, this is really slow. That's why we're only going to do 5, because each rep takes a little while. All right, so from here, you're going to brace your abs, okay? You're going to think about just tucking the tail and picking the tailbone up off the floor, just the tailbone. And then as you crunch your abs more, you'll feel the lower back start to come off the floor. Okay, now you're driving through the glutes. Okay, you're picking your back up off the ground. You're not going to be able to go up very high on this one either, and that's okay. Now from here, this is where we really squeeze the abs and put the back on the ground, one vertebrae at a time. Ending with that tailbone. So again, you're kind of curling it off the ground and then uncurling it back on the ground. That's 1 rep. We're going to do 5. So brace the abs, tuck the tail to just pick the tailbone off the ground, and then as you squeeze the abs more, tucking the tail more, you're just picking more of the spine up off the ground. And then squeeze the abs hard as you put one vertebrae back on the ground. 2. Get a bonus little core workout in here. Squeezing the abs hard to put the vertebrae back on the ground. 3, tuck the tailbone. Again, you can see why you want to go really slowly, because you're trying to move one vertebrae at a time. If you're like a lot of us, you're going to feel like you're very clunky doing this. It's part of the problem, and that's why this is a good exercise. Over time, you want this to feel smoother and smoother. Okay, 1 more. Again, you should be feeling those abs working pretty good too. And 5. Okay, so I hope that's feeling a little bit better. You can rewind to the timestamp below to begin this again. And I want to get prescriptive with how often you should do this. This partially depends on how in pain you are. You obviously want to be gentle here. You don't want to make anything worse. Generally speaking, a good weekly target is to do anywhere between 6 to 12 total sets. And so what that means is you could do, let's say if you're beginning with this, I'm going to recommend you stick closer to 6. So what that could look like is 2 days a week you're doing 3 sets, 3 days a week you're doing 2 sets. While you do want to be careful to not overdo it, you also want to make sure you're doing it consistently. Something I say all the time in the pain management and mobility space is motion is lotion. The more you move in a pain-free manner, the looser your body tends to feel. So this is by no means do it on Monday and then not again until next Monday. You do want to space this out and do this consistently throughout the week. But I like to give a weekly total so that way you can just fit it in wherever you can. You can do this while you're watching TV. You can do this right before bed with your morning cup of coffee, as part of your warm-up, as part of your cool down with your workout. It really doesn't matter. It's just as long as you get it done. So again, if you're in a lot of pain or you're new to these kinds of exercises, stick closer to 6 total sets. As you get better and better and you feel like it's loosening up, you're feeling better, you can start to add more total sets, upwards of 12 total sets in the week, not at a time. So as always, you can reach out to me with any questions. I'll see you for the next video.